Hey, hey, what's going on there, YouTube? This is SCL0320.
Hey everyone, it's Joe Johnson.
We're back for a brand new movie review for a movie that we didn't expect to actually watch, but we finally did. It was supposed to come out at least about 2 weeks ago, before Furious 7 came out, but they did it only in limited release theaters. But without further ado, we finally have Ex Machina. This movie was nuts. We're gonna dissect it in different ways this time. We're gonna be a little bit more organized. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna kind of break down what we thought of, like, the visuals for it. We thought about the performances for it, and then we're gonna talk a little bit about the story, but not too much, because we're gonna leave a trade-off. We're gonna say cut, and we're gonna go into full spoilers of our perspective of this movie that by far is just crazy. I'm gonna read a quick synopsis, I guess. The synopsis reads: a young programmer is selected to participate in a breakthrough experiment in artificial intelligence by evaluating the human capacities or qualities of a breathtaking female AI. This movie was visually outstanding. The places that they went kind of like surprised me, because the main character, Caleb, that's the name of him, right? He gets invited to this location where I guess his boss, named Nathan, played by Issac, allows him to be able to come to his, like, basically his compound. So he gets kind of caught up in this helicopter, and they take him to this elaborate location. I don't even know where they went, but it looked beautiful. But you would never think that there was any, like, buildings or any kind of, like, technology there. Come to find out, like, when he finally gets landed there, like, it's breathtaking visual effects from the inside of the compound to the outside of the compound. But not just that, the CG work is kind of unparalleled on how they interacted with the AI with the humans. Because there were times where I was like, okay, this maybe could run off to being like a CG, and they kind of put green screen behind it. But then there were some practical effects that I don't even know. I couldn't tell what was practical and what was CG at times, basically. But what was your thoughts on, I guess, the visual effects and just the scope of this movie?
Oh man, visual effects were, like you said, I couldn't really tell what was CG, what was practical at that times, and it's a very nice touch. Also, I want to talk about, like, the sets. They took you to different locations. Like, there's one location was like a waterfall.
Oh, that was like beautiful.
It was a crazy scene in general, crazy location, and on that, but like the set was just amazing. Like, Nathan, or his boss, is actually, like, his estate is like his place was just really nice looking, and even the set design was just good, really good.
Yeah. It was awesome. It was breathtaking. They spared no expense at all. Now, the thing about this movie is that it was from the same creators of 28 Days Later. So the director's name is Garland. The way that this movie feels visually is completely different than how we describe the visual stuff that happens, because there are moments where the score, it kind of plays on your anxiety, honestly, because you don't know what's going to happen. There's a lot of gory and there's a lot of sexual undertones that kind of go through, and then there's nudity in this as well, and it's done blatantly. It's not just for shock value or even for what do they call it? What do they call it? I don't even know what the terminology is, but basically glorify sexuality, so people can kind of be like perverts about it. It just happens because how they have these AIs designed, and there are a lot of times they're really scary, man. Like, it visually kind of kept me, like, bottled up. Like, when there was the first time when the compound kind of gets on lockdown, I was feeling claustrophobic, and that did not stop. It didn't cease, because more things continued to pile up. And then when the main character Caleb starts reacting differently to what's going on in her environment, as well as you're not being able to trust the mood of these different characters, it adds a lot of anxiety to it. And so that being captured cinematically and visually, like, it was really well done, and it brought me back to 28 Days Later. Like, when I looked at 28 Days Later the first time, I don't know about you, but I could only look at it once. Like, it took me months to look at it again just because it tripped me out. Now I can look at it over and over again, but when I first looked at it, I was anxiety ridden. Honestly, it was comforting to me to see 28 Weeks Later, because I was like, man, I don't even remember how this movie ended. Like, I still remember the end of 28 Weeks Later thinking, man, they didn't make it out. You know what I'm saying? But it just messed me up that bad. This kind of has that same kind of euphoric effect to it. Like, it's really post-pounding. So I guess that attributes to the score and the music, but at the same time, the director had a certain notion of how he shot everything. What did you think about, I guess, the cinematics? And how did you feel when you were looking at it, I guess?
The entire movie, I felt like that there was anxiety there, but it was more so mentally than anything, because every bit of information you get, you feel like you don't know what's been given, or what's actually been actually concealed. Like, yeah. And it's really kind of, the best way I can just put it is like you're really in like a mind, like the best way I can put it is like a maze. And each turn you don't know if like the main character Caleb is being manipulated to that point, or it's actually happening. Like there's certain instances in the story where as a viewer you can kind of like pinpoint, okay, I know what the angle on that is, I know what that is. But it's like the way they present information to you, it's like it's not what you expect. Like, you think you figured something out in the story, but it turns out it's like multifaceted and turns out to be something else. So it's a lot of twists and a lot of turns mentally, and it's really good. Cinematically, they really capture that, and even with the acting, it's like a tense, a subtle tenseness, like within the dialogue and just like the mannerisms of each character.
That's on point, because one thing about the director, Alex Garland, he also writes most of his movies as well, and so the scripting for this is amazing. So that's a great segue into the acting. The acting in this one was amazing. Oscar Isaac plays the main lead. Well, he doesn't play the main lead. He's the person that kind of created the AI Ava. So his name is Nathan. You've got the AI, who is by the actress named Alicia Vikander. She's going places because she messed me up most of this movie. And then the main character named Caleb was played by Domhnall Gleeson. And he does an amazing job with the performance, because you brought there thinking that this kid, he doesn't know anything, and you realize this dude is seriously smart, but is he too smart for his own good? Because when he gets paired off with Nathan, played by Oscar Isaacs demolishes this role, quite honestly. Like, he murders this role, because I'm literally mind-effed most of the movie thinking and wondering, what is his agenda? And is he being truthful? Is he being a scientist? Is he being comedic? Is he an alcoholic? Like, I have no idea. Like, I'm being left in the paint most of the time. And it doesn't help that Caleb is going through his own metamorphosis. Like, I'm trying to figure out Nathan the whole entire movie. But then Caleb, the way that his character is evolving, kind of like reminiscent of what Nathan was saying, that I don't take Ava's creation as something that's been innovated. Like, she is something that is evolved and spurned for something. I didn't just create her. It wasn't a singularity. It wasn't something that just kind of got conceived in a thought that I had. It was going to happen no matter what. It just, now it's been progressed through it. And that is what Caleb is going through. Like, as soon as he walked into that location, his mind was going to get altered in some kind of way. No matter what. Even if it was for the better, or it's for the positive or the negative. And like, the way that Caleb, and the actor that's doing it, he does an amazing job. Like, the stuff that he kind of goes through and the thoughts that he's having, they come from a real place, but they come from a really dark place. And they play off of the main AI that's named Ava. And like this girl that plays it, Alicia, she has this death stare that it feels like a real AI, but then she can turn it like a switch. And when she starts kind of flirting with Caleb, or when she starts showing like resentment or envy or agenda placement things, it's like she's going through personalities on target, as though like how a robot would. A robot wouldn't consistently act one way and then emote and then do this. Like a robot is calculative, manipulative, but just like a parrot can be able to mimic a person after a long period of time because they continuously hear repetition, and then they can have it bridge and seem as though they're talking back, but it's really just, well, you don't know if they're really thinking about it and processing what the parrot is saying from the human, or if they're just mimicking and know how to sequence it the right way. And that's what the whole movie ultimately is about. And I guess that's the segue into the story, because the story is nuts, man. Like it messes with your mind. The entire movie.
I have a headache right now. Like, for real, like I actually really do.
I came out in the movie, I was like, Joe, yo, I got some anxiety, bruh. Like, we went to Target right after because I had to get my mind straight, you know? Like, I came out of that movie, there were points in the movie that were so thought-provoking that I assessed some of these things in my mind personally, scientifically, and they went the different mile with it. I don't know when this movie was even taking place as far as the story arc. Like, I don't know when the year date was. And that is a genius in and of itself, because I didn't care, because it didn't matter. Like, what was happening mattered for me. So the storyline, I thought it was great. So, I mean, as a whole, I give the movie a 9 out of 10 just because of how much it messed my mind up. But this movie is not for everybody. This movie is not for everybody. And we're going to talk about more in depth when we go into the spoiler section in a second. But what's your final thoughts, I guess, on the movie, and where did you rate it as far as the score?
I rated it a 9. I love the story, love the plot twist. Only thing I didn't particularly like about it, but I feel like it was necessary for them to do this, was the pacing of the actual story. The way it's paced, I think I couldn't really say, I couldn't do it better. I couldn't do it better. To be honest, I couldn't do it better. But at the same time, I feel like...
Was it necessary?
I feel it was necessary, but at the same time, I feel like... I don't know if it's just me personally, but it was a little too slow for me. But that's very, very, me being nitpicky. Me being nitpicky, so.
It was a real slow burn, but when it did burn, like,
it burned.
It burned your mind away, basically.
It kindled.
So he gave it a 9, I gave it a 9. So this is the section now where we're going to be actually going into some spoilers. We're not going to be too long because we don't want this video to be over 20 minutes, if at all possible. We're going to try to keep it at least 16. I think we're at like 13 mark right now. So we're going to go as fast as we can. So if you've not seen this movie, do not look at any further. Come back and look at this later and rate what you thought of our perspective on the non-spoiler section of this review in the section below with a like. If you have any comments, definitely leave your comments below. But we're about to go into the spoiler section now. So, the movie was nuts. The AI Ava, not only did she set my boy Caleb up, she had me fooled. Because the whole entire time, I'm looking at Nathan and how he at a dime can really just throw Caleb to the dirt intellectually, and just his presence there. Because you're making Caleb think for a second that, okay, well, maybe like she's flirting with you because she likes you, or maybe you're having your own that's because you're so analytical and you can't see past your own analyticalness because you're dealing with some internal problems for when your parents died. And like, he was just mind effing him the whole entire time. Like, Nathan was just walking on him. And not just that, like, Nathan, he had this relationship with one of the robots. Like, I didn't realize it was a robot. Like, it was the maid, you know? But then, like, I was like, yo, this isn't right. She's off, you know? And you find out he's sleeping with her, but yet he's got this alcoholic issue. Like, he's drinking every single night. And he said in the beginning, he was like, look, I need to keep this alcohol to a suppressant because every night I'm drinking alcohol. In the morning, I'm beating myself up at the bag and working out. Look, and Shay Isaac's just killing it with the role. And then he had this one dance scene. That joint threw me, bruh. Because it was such a funny scene, but yet at the same time, it was really serious because Caleb is at this point where he doesn't know what is real and what is not, and who's lying to him, because every single time these blackouts start happening in the location, and he's being warned by Ava that Nathan has an agenda. And when he finally finds the stuff that was in the closet, like, he even loses concept that he might be actual robot himself, and he proceeds to cut himself open. Bro, that joint messed me up, dude. Like, I was like, okay, this is going way too far. Like, my anxiety level went from here to all the way up here, and that's just pure acting, scripting, and that's genius in and of itself, because for me to look at them trying to assess this robot that has her own agenda, I'm being brought into the situation as though, what if I was in this situation? Like, you walk out of the movie like testing your own skin, like what did I feel? You know what I'm saying? But any quick spoilers that you could talk about before we roll this out?
Yeah, so I mean, definitely a couple of points that just like my mind went into this movie, and it was just like it was I didn't know what to think, because all right, so definitely you have Caleb, and then you have Nathan. You know, so you start off with you know, Ava saying don't trust Nathan, you know, and that raises questions for everybody. The viewers and Caleb included. So we're like, okay, so he's questionable, and he definitely looks shady. He definitely looks shady the entire movie. But towards the end, was he justified? That's the thing that I was wrestling with. Was he actually a good guy in disguise? You know what I'm saying? You know,
it didn't matter.
It really did.
Because he got stabbed in the back.
He got stabbed.
Literally stabbed.
But the thing about Nathan, man, his character, bro, was I find really genius. He conned the AI, bro. Like, to me, that was just brilliant. Like, on a mental level, this dude was a freaking genius. Genius, like, just in all facets. Like, because not only did he pretty much orchestrated this entire thing, and by him doing that, I felt like he actually knew how dangerous letting Ava go would be. Because like artificial intelligence, like that's the next, you know what I'm saying? That's a new race of technology, pretty much, and like that would change everything forever. And he was like, and I think the question that should have been asked in this entire story between Nathan and Caleb was, should they be doing this? Not whether it could be done, but should they? But they also talked about it briefly and said it was going to happen inevitably. But
I mean, that was foreshadowing and prophetic in and of itself, and even like the comments that Caleb was making in relation to what Nathan was doing, kind of playing God. It's just crazy banter, crazy screenplay, crazy quotes, and it was just profoundly amazing. Like the way that they conceived, I guess, Ava's brain in and of itself, using gel with nanites to avert from using wiring. Like, I was like, that's just thought-provoking to me, thinking about science and technology that like I love, you know. And that movie did that for me. It was a great movie. To try to cut it short, we're out of here, everybody. If y'all want to hear any more about our thought process on this amazing movie, Ex Machina, we'll be more than willing to do it. But yeah, it was a great movie. It's a great movie. It just messed my mind up a little bit. So you might want to watch yourself when you go watch it because you're going to get effed in the bean. This is FCL0320 signing out. Hopefully y'all enjoyed our review. Please leave a like below if you did. Leave any comments you have at the bottom. Later, everybody. We out.
La 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 la.
La 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 la.